So let me start with a number that surprises a lot of people. Alberta's economy produces roughly $360 billion worth of goods and services every year. That's Alberta's GDP. Now, when people hear that Alberta only has about 4.5 million people, they often assume we must have a small regional economy. But here's what most people don't realize. Alberta's economy is actually larger than the entire economies of several independent countries. Countries like New Zealand, Portugal, Finland, which raises an interesting question. If Alberta were a country, where would it rank economically? And if you enjoy breaking down the numbers behind Alberta's economy and real estate, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell because we're going to keep digging into these topics in this series. In the last video, we talked about Norway, how a country with about 5.5 million people used its oil wealth to build a sovereign wealth fund, which is now worth more than $2.1 trillion. And that raises a broader economic question. What does Alberta's economy actually look like when you step back and compare it globally? Because when people talk about Alberta's future, one argument often comes up. Alberta is too small, but the numbers tell a very different story. Alberta's GDP is roughly $360 billion per year. GDP stands for gross domestic product. It measures the total value of everything produced in an economy. Energy production, agriculture, manufacturing, technology, construction, services, absolutely everything. When you add all of that up, Alberta produces hundreds of billions of dollars of economic activity every year. And when you compare that number globally, Alberta starts to look less like a province and more like a mid-sized national economy. Now, here's an example. New Zealand's economy is about 250 to 260 billion. Portugal's economy is 280 to 300 billion. Finland's economy is around 300 billion. All of these are fully independent countries. All of them run their own currencies, their own governments, their own trade systems, their own pension systems, their own financial markets. Yet Alberta's economic output is right in the same range, which means that the conversation about Alberta's economic capacity is often misunderstood. The question isn't whether Alberta has a functioning economy. The economy already exists. The question is simply how that economy is structured within Canada's system. A big part of Alberta's economic strength comes from natural resources, obviously. Energy production, oil and natural gas, but that's not the whole picture. Alberta also has agriculture, food production, petrochemicals, manufacturing, technology companies, financial services, construction and real estate, transportation, logistics. In other words, Alberta has a diversified economy built around energy, and that economic base supports millions of jobs. When economists talk about whether a region could function as an independent economy, the first question they look at is scale. Is the economy large enough? Does it generate enough output? Does it have enough industries? With the GDP in the hundreds of billions, Alberta is already operating at the scale of many developed countries, which is why the conversation about Alberta's future often focuses less on the size of the economy and more on things like trade relationships, currency systems, and financial institutions. Those are the questions that determine how economies interact with the rest of the world. In the next video, we're going to look at another number that often gets mentioned in this conversation, the resource Alberta's ground. Because Alberta holds one of the largest oil reserves on Earth, roughly 166 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, which brings up another question. What does that resource base actually mean economically, and how does it shape Alberta's role in the global energy system? That's where the numbers start to get really interesting. And if you want to follow the rest of the series as we break down the economics behind Alberta's future, then don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.